Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of ages, on this rainy day. It is the DOUG here and Johnny Bravo doing our pick show. We're also going to be discussing some hockey and baseball a little later after the picks. Before we get to our record and I sing, just a quick recap of last week. The Patriots beat the Giants, Panthers beat the Bucks, Seahawks beat the Browns. I got my upset pick correct as the Texans beat the Chiefs. The Redskins beat the Dolphins.
That was so good. I'll give you props for that. How are you doing in your upset pick of the week, by the way?
Not well. This is one of the few ones I've won, surprisingly. Yeah. I've been doing better on my locks other weeks.
This is one of the few ones I lost. I'm 4-2 in my upset picks.
Not bad. Vikings beat the Eagles. Saints beat the Jags. Ravens beat the Bengals. The Rams lost to the 49ers. Rams look bad. We'll discuss them later. Falcons lost to the Cardinals. We'll discuss the Falcons later. Broncos beat the Titans. The Cowboys lost to the Jets, which we'll be discussing the Cowboys game. The Chargers, which we're going to be talking about them later as well, lost to a third-string quarterback. And the Steelers. And then, of course, the Monday night game where
just ref
ball controversy. We're going to discuss those in a minute. But for week 6, I went 10 and that would have been.
I think you went 10 and 4.
10 and 4, yeah. So I don't know why I put 6. My mind was not working with me. So for the season. So 10 and 4 for week 6. For the season, I'm 56, 35 and 1. Johnny, what about you?
47. Let me see, 47, 42 and 1. Just end me.
Yeah, you went what, 5 and 9, I think, this week.
Yeah. And the sad part is most of them lost by 7 points.
Yep.
Or less.
But
that's what pisses me off most.
It's time for everyone's favorite part of the show before we get to the best and worst, and we discuss some things that happened during those games. And sadly, the teams I'm going to be talking about later, it's time for me to do my punishment. So I apologize, everyone. If you couldn't figure out what the clues were, it was Sunglasses at Night, which is sung by Corey Hart. The song came out in the 80s. By the way, the song takes is like a 5-minute song. If anyone's ever seen the music video,
the song's gonna take fucking 5 minutes to sing.
But the karaoke version's 5 minutes too, so it ain't like I wear my sunglasses at night so I can watch you read and believe your storylines. And I wear my sunglasses at night so I can keep track of the visions in my eyes. While she's deceiving me, it cuts my security. Has she got control of me? I turn to her and say, don't switch the blade on the guy in shades, oh no. Don't masquerade with the guy in shades, oh no. I can't believe it, you got it made with the guy in shades, oh no. By the way, this was in Grand Theft Auto Vice City, by the way. My sunglasses at night so I can forget my name while you collect your claim. I wear my sunglasses at night so I can see the light that's right before my eyes. While she's deceiving me, she cuts my security, yeah. She got control of me. I turn to her and say, Don't switch the blade on the guy in shades, oh no. Don't mess around with the guy in shades, oh no. I can't believe it, 'cause you got it made with the guy in shades, oh no. Now time for the, well, you don't hear singing for it because it's the interdimensional Paul, but yeah, this was on the Grand Theft Auto Vice City soundtrack, so the only time you hear Grand Theft Auto and me in any sense of the word. And by the way, I will give clues to what the last one, next song is next. Well, she's deceiving me. She cuts my security. Has she got control of me? I turn to her and say, don't switch the blade on the guy in shades, oh no. Don't masquerade with the guy in shades, oh no. I can't believe it, afraid of the guy in shades, oh no. It can't escape you, 'cause you got it made with the guy in shades, oh no. Oh, I said, I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I said to you now, I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I cry to you. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. I wear my sunglasses at night. And thank God the song's fucking over. Next week's song, I am dedicating, if the Cowboys lose to the Eagles, it's a song, and here's your two clues. One, my mom, this song is dedicated to my mom, so if you need to know what song it could be, you may want to ask her. Second, it is from a kid's television show. Those are your only clues.
Say Fly Eagles Fly.
Oh, hell no. I am not that. Do you know how long that song would take? Fuck that noise. But let's get to the best and worst of this week's. The worst team of this week gotta be the Tennessee Titans. They really didn't show up at all against the Broncos, in my opinion. So much so that they benched Mariota and put in the backup because Mariota was not having a good game.
Yeah, that game was a disaster. Of course, one of the many games I got wrong that week. In my worst team of the week, I have to say the Chargers. How do you not beat a third-string quarterback? Like, how? I want a 500-page word essay and saying how the fuck you not win against a third-string quarterback.
I do agree with that. The best team, though, of this past week in Week 6, I had to think really on this one. Who was the best team? And I wanted to lead towards the Vikings because they played dominant defense against the Eagles, and the offense played great. Granted, it makes you wonder how bad the Eagles' defense really is. But I am going to give it to the Texans because in my eyes they did beat one of the best teams in the AFC, and I think the Texans have been overlooked because of what division they are in.
The best team, in my opinion, is Carolina. They went into probably London, and they got their win that they needed, and they've been on the roll lately. So their defense may have been a little edgy at the end, but I think they were in full control.
Understood. And by the way, it looks like Cam Newton might be starting after the bye week. Which, remember, guys, if you are. Yeah, that has me concerned a bit. We'll discuss that next week to see if it works or not. But Panthers have a bye this week.
but their next game is against the 49ers.
Yeah, that's when we get to that
That's
game in week 8.
that's not a good idea.
It's not, but we'll get in better detail about that, of course, in week 8. No, but we're not going to do all picks here, but here's just Rosie. If anybody's new to this channel, you know who Rosie is. If not, it's Dark Knight's girl, but we call her Rosie the Robot. Rosie picked the Chiefs, Packers, Falcons, Niners, Colts, Vikings, Jags, Giants, Bills, Titans, Ravens, Eagles, Saints, and Patriots to get a win this week. And as far as for mutual buddy Justin in that group, he has the Chiefs, Packers, Rams, 49ers, Colts, Lions, Bengals are his upset pick. Cardinals, Bills, Titans, because Tannehill is starting, it looks like. Seahawks, Bears, Eagles, and the Patriots. Me and Johnny will do all picks a little later on. But let's discuss the elephant in the room, so to speak. Of course, it
Which
wasn't
one?
a lot of them. But let's start with the teams that we need to discuss a little bit who really failed their fan bases this past week. Of course, let's go to the first one. We're going to be discussing the Browns. Now, of course, if you remember in my last picks video, I said the Browns were one of the teams who needed to win the game. They needed a win badly. Unfortunately, they did not. And Browns are on their bye week, so this is a chance for them to fix some things, get some things straight. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to add Dallas and the Rams into this category as well. Did we overhype the Browns, the Rams, and the Cowboys during the preseason?
Browns are definitely the definition of overhyped. I mean, Baker Mayfield has looked awful over the past couple of weeks. I mean, he's making Lamar Jackson look like a better quarterback. That's the sad part.
I do agree there, and unfortunately, I'm one of the ones who would admit I did overhype the Browns. I wasn't the only one. You had guys at ESPN and NFL Network who did the same thing. So I think a lot of us who overhyped them are kind of looking like idiots right now. I mean, yes, it's still we're only in week 7, so they're like 2-4, so they're not eliminated from playoff hunt yet. But it is concerning because of the fact of there's a chance that after getting Odell Beckham Jr., after getting all this stuff done in the offseason and the preseason, to actually look good, you're going to fail. Browns, one of the more overhyped teams, I have to say, and be in agreement with you there. The second one, which is my Cowboys, after starting 3-0 against teams who, let's be honest, are not good teams, the Giants, who were injury already at that point in week 1, the Redskins, who really haven't shown up at all, and then of course Miami, who by the way, the Miami Dolphins have announced Ryan Fitzpatrick will be the starting quarterback for this week. So we could see some Fitz magic in Buffalo. But Dallas since then has lost to the Saints, who are a playoff team, by a few points, only by less than a touchdown. I think it was by 3 points. Then lost to Green Bay after almost making a comeback, and then of course they blew should have been an easy game against the Jets. Now, as somebody who is a Dallas fan, that was disappointing, and I will be honest with that. We have looked bad these last 3 weeks. The only positive is the Eagles have also looked bad, but let's be honest, everybody in that division, Dallas, Philly, Washington, and the Giants, are a train wreck. They are trash cans. They are crap. So who knows who's going to win that division? I would say the winner of this game, Dallas and Philly, would be in the driver's seat, but you can't really be confident with anybody. But back to Dallas. We already know Cooper will most likely be missing this Sunday night due to a thigh injury. And we will be missing 2 offensive tackles. So we're already going to be going in without our normal key pieces like we've been. And I'm going to say this as somebody who watched that Jets game. It feels like and looks like the players don't like the coach anymore. It seems like Jason Garrett's lost the players, and we've seen that happen in many other teams. I'll be honest, I think if Dallas does lose, I would not be surprised, because Jerry has done this before, if they were to fire him during the bye week. And I would say do it just because at least then you can just right the ship then, because I know some people are like, why would you say fire him? Because at that point, I think the players would want a coach who actually they look to get him motivated and all that. Plus, I will say this, when it comes to Dak, I think Dak is going to regret not doing the franchise tag to where he would be on there for another year or two. You know, the rookie. You know how some of them went to rookie if they don't want to sign him, they just because Dallas did give
Yeah,
him a contract, but he was playing just so hey, I deserve this kind of money. Well, since these last three games, you have not stepped up to be a starting quarterback. You have played bad. Now, yes, I know there's injuries, and to a degree, I understand that, but when it was against the Jets, that was your moment to say, hey, I deserve this money. You looked bad in that game. Yes, you didn't throw a pick, but you didn't look great. And I hate to say this,
yeah,
I think Dak's going to regret not just taking the contract that was offered to him during the preseason. Now, do I think Dak will be a Cowboy next year? Because that is now the main question. Will they keep him? I think they will just because of the fact of this. You know the Giants have a rookie quarterback. The Redskins don't know what they're doing at quarterback. And with Philly, I've said this before, I don't trust Wentz because he can't stay healthy for a season. If he can stay healthy for a season, he'll probably be the quarterback in that division. But because he has missed 2 seasons already due to injuries, it makes you think that now. Like I said though earlier, many videos ago, and even in the preseason picks we did, with Wentz, I understood why Philly went all in on him. Hasn't worked out so far this year, being the same record as Dallas. But Dallas, this is the game they need to step up. If they do not, oh boy,
yeah.
it's going to be issues. Okay, now let's go to the next team. Staying with over.
Okay, I want my views on the Cowboys.
Go
I
ahead.
think they're the most I think they're honestly the most uninspiring team to really get a gauge on because it really is just all their offenses is give the ball to Zeke and pray to God he gets like 3 touchdowns per game. I mean, all you gotta do is just stop Zeke and just force Dak Prescott to throw. That's all you need to do to beat the Cowboys' offense.
I agree there, and I think what hurt Dallas a lot in the last, particularly in the Jets game, because I watched it, a lot of drop passes, which were not on, which unfortunately we see that all the time. Receivers and tight ends, they would drop passes that they should catch. Or half the time they'll tip it instead of trying to catch it. They'll tip it by accident and it gets picked off. I'm like, I'm gonna be, I know you can't in the NFL anymore have that gel that will just catch the ball automatically because that was banned. I think a lot of these receivers were like that back. Heading to LA now, we're going to discuss the Rams a bit, the third most overrated team. Yes, I know Gurley's injured, but they haven't looked like the Super Bowl team from last year. I know they got injuries, but when you're the defending NFC champions, you should step up. Now, I called that the Rams were going to have a Super Bowl hangover, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad, if I'm being perfectly honest. Now, the benefit for them, they play the Falcons this week, who is a definitely bad team. We're going to discuss them in a minute. But I think if the Rams lose this game, they're going to have to look themselves in the mirror and be like, okay, do we really think we have a chance at even winning the division at this point? Because San Francisco's ahead of you because they're undefeated, and Seattle has been kicking ass. And it's raining very bad here in the state of Virginia, if you can hear the rain.
Yeah, I'm gonna get rain eventually. It's coming here to New York. Like, it's basically affecting the entire. It's down to from Virginia to like up like New York.
Yeah, that's why there's no Yankees game tonight. Everybody keep that in mind. So what are you feeling on the Rams? Did they get overhyped as well?
Well, they went all in yesterday on Jalen Ramsey. And they traded away Marcus Peters to the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to get into my thoughts about Marcus Peters. Well, personally, I think that trade. Let's talk about the trades first before my analysis on the Rams. Do you think they overpaid for Ramsey?
I do. I think, to be honest, particularly because Jacksonville said they weren't going to trade him, they were going to try to keep him, but apparently they just got tired of his crap, I guess, and they did get rid of him.
He was taking injuries all.
Yeah, I think some of those he was faking, to be honest, or being sick. I mean, it felt like he didn't want to be there. He was pulling in Antonio Brown, to me, to be perfectly honest. He wanted out of there. Now here's the thing: if I'm the Rams, I would be very scared because of the fact of I would not trust him at all. And I don't know if he's playing this week. I don't know if he can or not. If he's still injured or not.
Yeah, I know Marcus Peters is playing for Baltimore.
Okay, so you would think Ramsey would, but we shall see. Um,
Yeah. And
but
my thoughts about Marcus Peters. We traded away Kenny Young, which I thought that's kind of a weird move, considering the fact the linebackers kind of an issue.
but
Kenny Young's one of our younger guys. Yes, our secondary is kind of not the
not that.
greatest right now, but we still have Marlon Humphrey. We still. Mm, next best corner is Marcus Peters. I think after that's Brandon Carr and Jimmy Smith.
Understood there. Now, what do you feel about the Rams, though? Because since we did discuss the trade a bit, do you think this helps the Rams, or do you think this is just putting a Band-Aid over a bigger issue?
This helps their defense. I'm gonna say that one.
Helps their defense.
It's really gonna make them into like a lockdown defense. I don't think they're gonna give up 54 points to the Bucks. That's not gonna happen anymore. But
True.
there's still a little bit more holes, like defensive tackle for the Rams. I don't think they have anything, to my knowledge.
And I agree, but what worries me with the Rams, they do not play the same without Todd Gurley. You know, that, because to me, to a degree, the Rams offense is kind of like the Dallas offense. It pretty much goes to the running back. You stop the running back, then there's some issues. And particularly saw in the Niners game, the Rams really didn't feel like they showed up. At least they didn't to me. If you thought they showed up, put it in the comments why you think they did. All right, the last two teams we got to discuss. The Atlanta Falcons. Oh God, talk about the most disappointing NFC team. I mean, I know everyone's gonna be like, well, I know everyone's gonna be like, well, Doug, the Redskins, you know, they just won a game, you know. I'm like, yeah, but we all knew the Redskins were going to be crap. No one had Atlanta being crap. There was a lot of people had Atlanta winning the division or being a wild card team, but Atlanta has not shown up at all this year. They excluding that one fluke win against Philly, they have done nothing.
Yeah, it's like I think this is the end of the Falcons. It just feels like they're just giving up on the season. I mean, defensively, offensively, Matt Ryan is playing his hard out there. Yet to what avail?
Yeah, he's not getting anything for it, and there's talks and rumors that they will be firing their head coach. So I'm going to ask the question. It's the question of the video. Do you think the Falcons will be firing their head coach after doing their bye week coming up in a few weeks?
Yeah, I'm going to say yes. He's done.
I agree as well. I think, to be honest, if you think about it, ever since Atlanta blew that Super Bowl lead, they have not been the same.
Yeah, I feel so bad for Hatbox. Rest in peace. His hopes and dreams.
Yeah, because I know he's a Falcons fan, and hello everyone on the NFL YouTube Prognosticators Facebook page. But Falcons are bad. But speaking of a bad team, let's talk about the Chargers here. Another head coach who's rumored to be fired during their bye week or after the season. How do you lose to a third-string quarterback? I can understand if it was the second-string quarterback because he's played well. But you lost to a Steelers team who you should have beat easily. This was worse than the Cowboys lost to the Jets to me, because at least the Jets, you could say, it was in New York, Sam Darnold's back, which, looking how they played without him, and now they have him back, they played better with him, shockingly. But the Bolts have no excuse. I know they're going to say injuries, but I'm sorry. You needed that win very badly, because the Chiefs lost 2 in a row. That gave you a chance, and Denver's looking good, and Oakland's good. Chargers, I got to say this. It feels like if they lose another game, I feel like they're done.
Well, the Chargers are back to normal.
Yeah, and it makes me feel sad for Phillip Rivers, because I like the guy, but it just feels like he gets a bum.
I mean, for the past 2 years, the Chargers have been looking decent, 9-7 and a 12-4 record. Now it's like we're right back in 2016 or 2015, 2016.
Yeah, they're back to being the basement drillers. Now
we gotta talk about one more thing,
and that would be
the Mega Tank Bowl.
the Redskins and Dolphins game. All right, we're gonna go to that real quick.
That could have ended in a perfect way.
That, I gotta say this. And this goes to Miami. You are stupid, Miami. I know everyone's going to say, well, you play to win the game. I get that. But I'm going to ask this question. If there's 5 seconds left in the game, you just got a TD. You need 1 point to send it into overtime, because you know the Redskins ain't going to be able to get down the field in 5 seconds. I know
Yeah.
but you go for two and you miss it. I'm sorry. To me, I would have kicked the 1 point. You had momentum. You were doing good. Kick the 1 point, go into overtime, and win the game in OT. There was nothing wrong with winning a game in overtime. Now, yes, I know some people would say, well, the Redskins could have won it in OT. Yes, they could. Or we could have had another tie like we did in Week 1. But I'm sorry. If you only need 1 point to tie the game to go into overtime, take the damn 1 point. The only time I would recommend ever going for 2 points is if you need the 2 points to tie it. Or if there would have been like 2 or 3 minutes left in that game, I could have understood going for 2 points at that point. Because at least then you could say, okay, we can still get the ball back in time, to kick the 1 point. But I do say good job for Fitzpatrick because Miami did play better with him as quarterback, so we'll see if that continue. See how they do with the Bills this week. But what did you think of the tank ball?
Like seriously, I can't. The last play, I get the 2-point conversion. I know Miami. They don't want to play They just want to play for the win or bust. I just don't think they would have defended against the Redskins. I get why they did it, but why the fuck did they throw a screen at the goal line? Like, in the Reds, even if Kenyon Drake did catch it, he would have been tackled immediately.
I agree there. By the way, in case anybody wants to know about my fantasy league, my Bill Money team won, so they're 4-2. Unfortunately, my NWO and Lupon's gang lost, but that's because a lot of the teams had a bye this week, and I will probably be editing them after the video is done. But back to two more things. One, I did promise my buddy Chris I would discuss, and the other one something that just popped up today. Alex Smith, you know him, the former Redskins quarterback who used to be the Chiefs and Niners. He's had about 17 injuries on that, 17 surgeries on that injured leg he has. I think he's done. He ain't coming back.
Wait, who?
Alex Smith.
Oh yeah, he's not.
Which
I
is
think Brian Shazier has more of a chance.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say this. I actually like Alex Smith. I always thought he got a bum deal in San Francisco. Everybody blamed a lot of those losing seasons on him, but when you keep getting a new head coach or a new offensive coordinator every year or every other year, you really can't be good. And then the one year he actually gets a coach, he doesn't get fired the next year. He gets traded to Kansas City, and he does well there. But then Mahomes, well, we know who about Mahomes, goes to Washington, does good there until the injury, and then, well, c'est la vie. But now to do the one thing I promised I was going to talk about this week. The PI calls and the refs in general. First, let's start with the refs. The NFL did admit that the second hands to the face call in the Lions-Packers game should not have been called. If that's not called, Green Bay still kicks the 3 points, but there's going to be time left on the clock for Detroit to get down the field to kick one. I think it would have been about 40 seconds left for them to do it, which is possible. I can't guarantee that, but it's possible. Unfortunately, the NFL is just like, well, we're just going to send a note saying sorry that the ref screwed up, and to me, that's not good enough anymore. I think we need to now start either fining the refs for blatant mess-ups, because that was a blatant mess-up. Because that pretty much gave the Packers the one, because they were able to get it. It would have been like 4th and goal, but then it became 1st and goal, and well, all Green Bay had to do was run the clock out and then kick for 3. So to me, the refs should be punished. I don't think we know the NFL is not going to do it because we know the refs would go on strike. But at this point, I would take robots, or hell, even give us the replacement refs we had years ago. Because at this point, I trust the replacement refs. Because at least when they screwed up, you could at least say that's because the replacement refs, they probably don't know every rule. But if you're an NFL ref and you've been one for years, you should know the rules. You should know what isn't and what isn't a hands to the face or PI. Speaking of that PI call, did you watch the Packers-Lions game?
I was keeping track of that.
Okay, do you know that one call, the one that the Lions had to punt in the 4th quarter? It was 3rd and something, ended up being 4th, but when they showed what happened, it should have been pass interference on Green Bay's defense because they were pretty much all over the Lions player. But the issue is this. it feels like the refs don't want to call pass interference half the time. Or when they do, and it's not pass interference, there's no point in challenging it because the NFL's not going to overturn it. Because they don't want the refs to look like idiots. Furthermore, and this is my big problem with the PI rule in general, it is not... What it says in the rule book is not being followed to exact degree because every ref has a different idea of what pass interference is, and that is the problem. If you know what ref's going to be in that game, you're able to manipulate him to where you're not going to get a lot of PI calls because what he views as PI may not be what the next ref is going to say is PI. You know, and that's a problem because it's like we need to get all the refs need to get into an agreement on what PI, what pass interference is, and what it isn't. Furthermore, I'm going to be honest here. I think they only added this PI rule where you can challenge it or whatever to make the Saints fans happy. And to make everyone who is so pissed off about that happy. But here's the thing. When it's been challenged, they don't even bother to overturn it because even the announcers and some former head officials have said some of those should have been overturned. But they're not doing it because they don't want to make the refs look bad. I think the PI rule, why it was a good idea for it, but I think it's a waste of time if you're not even going to attempt to reverse one or even let one be reversed. It just feels like a waste. What's your opinion about the refs in general? Because they've been bad all year, and I'll admit that. They've been terrible all year, but Monday night and a lot of these non-PI calls are just getting terrible.
Yeah, it's just ruining the game. It's really it hasn't really helped anyone out a lot. It's just making it more miserable for teams than just benefiting some other teams. Like,
I agree there. And what's sad is we're in 2019. And almost everyone's argument who defends these refs, from the players who do, which I know most of the players don't, but there's a few who do, because they benefit from it 9 times out of 10, and some of the fans will say, well, you can't get everything right, it's 2019, it would slow the game down. I'm sorry, I'd rather have the game be slowed and every call correct on the field, instead of, oh, the refs missed something important in the fourth quarter, or get something wrong in the fourth quarter and it caused the team to lose the game. Like the Lions. Let's be honest, the Lions should have won that game if it wasn't for the phantom calls, or the no calls that didn't happen. It's kind of getting to the point to where it's sad that WWE referees are better than NFL refs. And WWE refs, we know it's scripted, but at least their refs are more believable. So I'm going to be honest here. Before anyone makes any picks, find out who the refs are going to be in those games and tweet them and ask them, are they going to be calling the game fairly or are they going to miss calls? We already know the answer to that, unfortunately, don't we, Johnny?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to miss calls because I know they can't be, human element, you can't be perfect, but then why however these rules, right? I mean, and before somebody says, well, why are you so angry about that? Let's say there was let's say you caught your brother, your sister, your child cheating or breaking the rules or broke the rules and no one caught them, but you did. Wouldn't you want them punished? Wouldn't you want them to say, hey, you screwed up, you need to admit it, and then suffer the consequences? Which, that's the biggest problem. NFL admits that the refs screwed up Monday night, but nothing comes out of it. No punishment. No fines, no suspensions for the refs.
To be honest, when the refs were making those pants in the face calls, on the defense, they sound so ecstatic.
Yeah, but here's the thing that really makes me mad more than anything. The refs can screw up or miss something and not get flagged. But if you're a player in the NFL and you criticize how the refs called the game, you get fined. That's the problem. Because some of the Lions players have already been told, hey, yeah, you're probably going to get a fine this week or next week for this. And that's pretty sad. You can't criticize a ref because how bad of a job they did, but the ref can screw up or miss calls or get calls incorrect and not get punished. To me, it just seems a little ridiculous. I mean, shit, in college football, they've actually suspended refs. But I digest. But let's get to the picks real quick. But before we do, Johnny, congratulations on your Nationals for making the World Series for the first time as the Washington
Yeah,
Nationals.
by sweeping the freaking Cardinals. That wasn't even a series.
And now they just got to sit at home and wait for the Yankees at Houston Astros series to be done.
How I feel about the who would I rather go up against? I want to say the Yankees, honestly, because they have a little bit more vulnerability. Astros are doing absolutely perfect.
For the most part.
The Yankees.
And we're going to be discussing hockey in a bit, but I am happy for the Nats, as I did predict the Nationals.
We'll do the hockey stuff after all the picks.
Yep. Just in case, if you have any of these players on your fantasy league, please remember to bench them this week because their teams have a bye. The Browns, the Buccaneers, the Panthers, and the Steelers all have a bye this week, so please keep that in mind. But let's get to the picks. The Thursday night game tomorrow night is in Denver, Colorado, as the Broncos, who have won 2 games in a row, take on the Chiefs, who have lost the last 2 games to the underrated Colts and Texans. Does Denver's defense actually stop Kansas City for a 3rd week in a row, or is this the bounce back game for Kansas City?
I really want to pick the Chiefs, but I think Denver actually gets their first one against KC in quite a while.
Well, you're taking Denver at home. All right. I'm going to take the Chiefs here. I think this is a bounce back game for them. You know, I've been very impressed with Denver's defense. I just think Denver's offense ain't going to be able to keep up with Kansas City's offense. Kansas City's offense is just way too good in my opinion. Alright, time for the next one, and this one's fun. We're going to Buffalo. Are you ready to go to Buffalo?
Ew, no.
Because it's the Buffalo Bills at home taking on the winless Miami Dolphins. Dolphins will be starting Fitzmagic, and we know sometimes Fitzpatrick either does very well and does magic poured out of his hat, or B, he pours out a dead bunny rabbit and the team loses. This is my luck of the week. I got Buffalo winning. I just think the Buffalo defense is just too good. The Bills' offense has shown that they can hang pretty much as long as the defense steps up. The Bills' offense does enough to not screw them over.
I'm taking Buffalo. There's no way Dolphins are getting the win this season, honestly.
We're not in this one, but we're going to look at the Dolphins' schedule after this and figure out what would be their best chance. And then, of course, we have another winless matchup, as in WKOP, Cincinnati. The Bengals are at home to take on the Jaguars. Jaguars did just trade the best defensive player, but he hasn't been there half the season anyway. Bengals have not looked good this year. They have looked like they are trying to tank harder than the Dolphins, if that's possible. But I got Jacksonville on the road.
Yeah, the Bengals, I was expecting 1 win. They're still 0-6.
Yeah, I have a feeling we're going to need to look at the Dolphins and Bengals schedule after this to figure out when may they get their first win if it's not this week.
They play each other week 16. That's all I know.
Dolphins and Bengals, the ultimate tank ball game. Oh God, that's going to be a game that should be the Sunday night game. Come see the loser actually win. Next, we're heading to Detroit. The Vikings take on the Lions. Vikings coming off an impressive win over the Eagles, and the Lions are coming off a heartbreaking loss on Monday. Now, the question is, do the Lions get their mind focused on the Vikings, or are they still going to be angry about how the refs, and now that the NFL has admitted that the refs screwed up, it kind of does makes you think, if you're the Lions fan, are they going to cheat us again? Are they going to miss calls again or get calls wrong that should not have been called? But I think the Vikings are just way too better defensively. I still don't trust Kirk Cousins to save my life, but I think the Vikings are just a better team on paper.
I'm actually going to take the Lions here. This is definitely a must-win game for them.
Oh, I agree there.
They want to prove they're a better team than anticipated. They should be 3-1-1 right now.
Yeah, I gotta agree. They should be 3-1-1. Next, we head to Wisconsin as the Oakland Raiders come into town to take on the Packers. I'm gonna let you start this one off, Johnny.
Wait, which game?
Raiders at Packers.
Ah, yes. This is actually. I'm actually taking this as my upset pick. Like I'm taking the Raiders on the road. This is honestly, this is just saying a screw the Packers move because I think they didn't look that great against the Lions to begin with. I think the Raiders are coming off their bye. I think they want to. I think Derek Carr is actually going to do. I don't even know how to even explain this one. This is my upset pick of the week. I'm taking that.
You're taking the Raiders. I'm taking Green Bay. I just feel like since it's at Green Bay's home, you know, that with all the controversy, I think the refs in this game in particular will probably be calling the game tighter than they usually would just to make everyone shut up. But I think Green Bay still wins just because I think too many offensive and defensive weapons for Green Bay, particularly defensively. Up next, a game with very interesting situations. It's the Rams taking on the Falcons. Rams do get a new defensive player. Not the Falcons. The Rams get a new defensive player. Excuse me, they let a botch. But the Rams have not looked good the last 3 weeks. Falcons have not looked good at all, excluding that week 1 fluke against the Eagles. And I think for both teams, this is a must-win situation, Johnny. Rams need to win to stay alive in a playoff hunt. Falcons need this win to keep their head coach's job. But I'm taking the Rams here. I think this is a bounce-back game. Atlanta, I have a feeling at this point, I would not be surprised if ownership is telling them just tank the rest of the way. We'll get a player in the draft, and we'll get a new head coach after the season.
Yeah, the Rams are going to easily win this game.
Alright, up next, it is a very interesting matchup, but one that I would have not called during the preseason after Luck retired. It is the Texans taking on the Colts. Now, the Colts, and I'm the first one to say this because we know I've been really dogging them, the Colts have looked very surprisingly well and looked way better than when they had Luck. They could probably be one of the teams this year that are not getting talked about because of it. Texans, I kind of feel like they're not getting talked about either. You know, they do have a great defense and offense. I think because of the fact of the play style and the fact that they really have not been able to be a good team in the playoffs, that they get overlooked. So, to me, this is a game of two overlooked teams. You could see both teams make the playoffs, maybe, particularly with how the Colts have been. But I am taking the Texans on the road to beat the Colts. Texans, to me, just a better team on all fronts.
That's an interesting statement. I'm actually taking the Colts. I think this is where the Colts are going to take their division lead.
Do you think if the Colts do win this, do you think they actually hold on to that division lead? Or is this just one of those that the Colts get lucky but still lose to the Texans in the end in the division?
I don't know. It could be.
Could be. Fair enough. Up next, it is one of the two big trap games. I would say the other one, of course, is the Bills-Dolphins. The 49ers on the road take on the Redskins. Redskins have finally got a W, but it was against a bad Miami team. The Niners are benefiting again, which I know, Dave, you get tired of this, and I know the 49er fans who watch, you get tired of me bringing this up, but your schedule has been weak. You and the Patriots both have had a weak-ass schedule to start. But I'm taking the Niners here. Redskins just not a good team.
Lock of the week. I'm taking the 49. A little bit of a risky play, but I didn't want to take against the Dolphins for like the second week in a row, or like for like billionth time.
Understood. And the last 1 o'clock game, it is probably to me was one of the harder matchups we had this week because of the fact that both teams are young. Both teams have a rookie quarterback. Both teams have some injuries to deal with. It is the Cardinals on the road taking on the Giants. For me personally, I have a lot of problems here. Both teams, like I said, they're young. To me, it really came down to who do you trust in the fourth quarter at this point. For me personally, I kind of trust the Giants a little more in the fourth quarter. Plus, it is in New York, and they may get their running back this week. It hasn't been made official yet if he's playing or not. But Arizona, to their credit, do have 2 wins, which is 2 more than I thought they were going to get at this point. But I just think it's really hard because both teams are young and injuries on both sides. But Giants squeak a win out here.
I'm taking the Cardinals here. I think the Cardinals have a little bit more versatility than the Giants right now, especially considering the fact Giants are injured right now. Well, I mean, if they do get the running back, he's not going to be 100%. Even if they get Saquon, he's not going to. I don't think he's going to get a lot of reps.
I do agree there. Alright, so we go to the next one, which is the only game that starts at 4:05, and it's a crap game. It's the Chargers taking on the Titans in Tennessee. Neither teams looked good. Both teams have looked very disappointing to the point to where it's just sad. I don't really know. I had a hard time picking this one because it's like, who do you trust? The Titans, who may or may not have Mariota this week, or do you take Dark Knight? I actually have the Giants winning, so don't talk to me on this one. Talk to Johnny. But the Chargers and Titans, this to me, I'm honest, I literally had to dig and be like, what can I use here to actually prove that one team's going to win or not? And I went with the Chargers only because I trust Phillip Rivers way more than the Titans quarterbacks at this point.
Yeah, this was a really different. So basically, whoever loses this game is out. There's no doubt about it. So I think the Titans are going to be out. Like I said before, I did have them losing your division, like at 4-12. This is probably coming into tuition now.
Gotta agree there.
I'm gonna take the Chargers.
Yeah, let's just hope they actually decide to show up on last Sunday night. Next, we head to Chicago, home of the Bears, as they take on the New Orleans Saints, who have looked very well with Teddy Bridgewater as their starting quarterback. The Bears' defense, I think it's impressive, but I think what caused the Bears to lose this game is the Chicago Bears' offense. I think the Saints are just clicking on both fronts, and the Saints are the favorites to win, and I am taking the Saints.
I'm actually going to take the Bears. I think, honestly, my analysis last week was correct. I think they were going to miss Drew Brees. They only scored 13 points against the Jacksonville defense, and they're facing against the Bears defense, who was a lot stronger. And to be honest, this is going to be a low-scoring fest, but I think the Bears get a 3-point win.
Alright, so we go there, and next we head to Seattle as the Ravens take on the Seahawks. Both teams doing very well. Both teams have played good on offense and defense. The game is in Seattle, so the 12th man's going to play a key factor here. Johnny?
And Thomas is returning.
Good to know. Johnny, who do you have? Are you taking your Ravens, or are you going to go against them and pick Seattle?
I have to take my Ravens. I'm obligated to.
Understood, and this is my upset pick of the week because I am taking Baltimore on the road to beat Seattle.
Great, now we're gonna lose. Thanks a lot, Doug.
No, that's only if Brad. That's only if Brad watches the game. Remember?
No, it's now if you pick the Ravens to win. Well, pick a game where we meant to lose. We're probably gonna lose. Probably Justin Tucker's gonna miss a game-winning kick.
Tucker's not gonna miss a game-winning kick. He's perfect. He's like.
I like to point out last year with the Saints-Ravens game, we should have went to overtime. We could have beat one of the best teams in the league, but nope, Justin Tucker missed the extra point.
Well, it's a dome, so the domes. I've always said domes are harder to kick in because you don't have the weather.
No, we were playing at home.
Oh, okay, then I can't explain that one. So he had a one fluke miss kick, whoopee.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I don't know why I brought up Justin Tucker then.
Because you did. Alright, moving on to the Sunday night game. Okay, we already know who I'm picking. Obviously, it's the Eagles versus the Cowboys. Winner of this controls their own destiny in the division. The division is trash. We know I'm taking Dallas here. Even though Dallas is going to be coming in with injuries from the receiving core and the offensive tackle. But we know I'm ride with the Cowboys to the very end, for better or for worse. I will say this: if Dallas does lose, I would not be surprised if there's some changes happening in the bye week next week. Johnny, who do you got?
I'm actually taking. I'm sorry, Doug, but I have to take the Eagles.
I can't really argue against it this one because both teams have been bad. This is really a coin flip.
Yeah,
I know
this was probably one of the most difficult games I had to pick.
I mean, I hate saying this, even if the Eagles or Dallas, whoever wins this game, you still don't know if they're going to win the division because the division is so bad that you could see that
kids just somehow win their division.
Well, the funny thing is, the funny thing is that because of how bad Dallas and Philly have been, if one of them would have just won, two of these last would be 4-2 right now. Eagles, the Redskins and Giants would have a hard time winning the division. But because Dallas and the Eagles are 3-3, Giants I believe are 2-4 at this point, I think, and the Redskins just got their first win. No one's out of it because of how bad it is. There is a still chance, and somebody did the math.
It's 2015 all over again.
If the Giants win out, they can win the division. If the Redskins win out, the Redskins can win the division. So it pretty much is going to be the division that, hey, keep an eye on, but at the same time, it's going to be the worst division because you're probably not going to know who's going to win it till week 17.
Well, I'll say this one. It's welcome back to the season 2 of Who the Hell Wants to Win the NFC East.
Pretty much.
Last year, the Cowboys got through to win the division at 10. Who will step up to win the shitty-ass division? Will it be the uninspiring Cowboys, or the fucking injured-ass Eagles, or the derpy Giants, or the Redskins who don't know what they're doing?
I would laugh if it's the Redskins after they fired Good, and that'd be funny, but...
It's like...
I would like to point out the reason why I laugh, and I say this, we're just going to hop to week 8 real quick before we get to the Monday night game. Redskins play the Vikings, Eagles play the Bills, and the Giants play the Lions. There's a strong possibility all three of those teams, the Giants, Eagles, and Redskins, lose next week.
Let's go to week 9 too, because the Redskins play the Bills, the Eagles play the Bears.
I see Dark Knight.
And the Cowboys play the Giants. So
yeah, week 9, Bears could beat the Eagles easily. I think the Redskins play the Bills. Bills win.
Yeah.
So there's a strong chance come week 9, the Monday night game, Cowboys and Giants, that could be for the division. For a division spot because of how bad this whole division is. Hell, let's just go to week 10. Who did they play? The Giants play the Jets. Okay, so that'd be interesting.
Vikings play Cowboys.
And I think the Redskins and Eagles are off that week. Yep.
Fine, so, let's just keep going.
Let's go to week 11. Cowboys play the Lions. Oh, God.
The Redskins play the Jets.
The Eagles play the Patriots. And the Giants, I think, are off that week.
Yeah.
I would not say that sure, Dark Knight. I trust the Lions quarterback more than the Giants one, I'm just saying. And then let's go to week 12. Giants play the Bears. That's a loss as far as I'm concerned with the way Chicago's defense is. Lions play the Redskins. Well, there's a loss for the Skins. Cowboys play at New England. Well, that's a loss, most likely. And Seattle plays the Eagles. There's a strong... Matthew Stafford does not suck, Dark Knight. Matthew Stafford's actually, I believe, in the top 10 for quarterbacks right now, and he's actually helping teams win in fantasy. It's just unfortunately bad calls from the refs and a bad defense. I gotta remember, Dark Knight does not look at stats. He just looks at games. Stats and games are kind of different. Because most of the losses the Lions have had, it's because of their defense they break. And then week 13. Well, Bills against Dallas, yeah. Redskins lose to the Panthers. Packers beat the Giants probably in week 13, and the Eagles will beat the Dolphins. So the Eagles finally get a free win there. Yeah, there's a strong... Chicago Cowboys play the Bears.
Redskins play the Packers.
Yeah, Redskins play the Packers, so that's a win for the Packers.
And the Giants, Eagles just go up against each other.
Yeah, so that would be an elimination game.
Let's just go for the rest of the year.
Just to show how bad that division is. Week 15, Eagles and Redskins. Oh, there's an elimination game.
Rams and Cowboys.
Yeah, and then who did the Giants play in that week?
Giants, Dolphins.
Okay, an easy win for the Giants, you would think. Giants and Redskins in week 16. Cowboys play the Eagles, so, and then in week 17, I believe, Eagles, Giants, Dallas, Redskins. So there's a strong chance in week 17, because I don't think we've had it in a while, that the division, we could actually see a division winner this year be 7-9 and win their division. because they don't look all four of those teams really don't look good in any game coming up after this week. So it's pretty much a terrible division this year. I didn't want to say that. If you would have told me in week 1 that by week 7 the division would be shit, I would have not believed you. Because the Eagles, Dallas, both playoff contenders. Depending on what the Giants did, you could argue that they could have been a threat, but
I want to talk about one more division in particular. That's basically in the same spot right now.
And that would be
the AFC North. To be honest, the Ravens' 4-2 record is basically influenced by the fact they played the Dolphins, the Cardinals, the Steelers, and the Bengals. And the Browns look. The Browns are the second best team at 2-4, and 2-4, and the Steelers are that division's a mess. If you look beyond the Ravens' wins.
I would like to point out, Dark Knight, you do know stats are how they decide who the best and worst teams are each week, right? Not wins and losses, because if it was just based on wins and losses, then pretty much it would just be the Patriots, which I'm sorry. No, the only ones who had the Patriots at number 1 and Niners at 2 basing it on the win-loss record, not on who they beaten. It's kind of like with college football, if you just based on wins and losses and not who they played, which, to a degree, that would probably work better in college, but not really.
Last game is the Patriots. Do we really need to talk about
this? This is going to be a terrible Monday night game. This is probably the night WWE Monday Night Raw might benefit from a bad Monday night game. Patriots should win this game, but this is a trap game.
That's all to say.
Simply because now that Sam Darnold's back, and it looks like the Jets play way better with Sam Darnold than they did without him. But the Patriots should handle this. I will say this. If the Patriots lose to the Jets, that would be shocking. And I do know Burnett, he is the one Patriots player, Burnett, he is suspended for this game for some reason. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But I'm taking the Patriots.
I don't even need to say anything. It's mandatory that you take the Patriots.
Pretty much, and that's been the issue with the Niners and Patriots. They really haven't gone up against a team who could actually legit beat them or given a chance to beat them. But looking ahead to Week 8, before we talk hockey real quick, of course the Thursday night game is the Redskins and Vikings, aka Kirk Cousins' revenge. And the Sunday night game is the Packers and Chiefs, so we'll get another good Sunday night game, but the Monday night game will be crap. It's the Dolphins and Steelers. And anybody remember a few years ago the last time the Dolphins and Steelers played and the Dolphins haven't won a game at that point? What is also known as the worst Monday night game ever, if you watch the Worst of series. Yeah, that game ended 3-0. So there's a chance, hey, guess what, we could see that again. Or this could be the one game Miami wins because of how bad Pittsburgh is on the injury list. But let's talk about hockey real quick. But while I'm bringing up the Dolphins and Bengals, talk about some hockey real quick.
Let's see. I think so the hockey season's been going horrible for the Devils. It's been a complete disaster. We only got 2 points, 4 losses and 2 overtime losses. Our organization is such a mess.
I agree. I do find it funny in the franchise mode I'm in. The Dolphins actually beat Baltimore in Week 1, so that's funny. Penguins have been doing well, but I think the most surprising team is probably the Ducks, because the Ducks have been playing very well. I actually think if they can continue this, they could be a threat in the playoffs. We shall see. But my other question of the video is, who at this point of the 2 winless teams has the best chance to get their next win? So let's go over the Dolphins' schedule real quick. We are in Week 7, so they're on the road in Buffalo, then they go to Pittsburgh. Then they're at home in Week 9 against the Jets, then the Colts, Bills again, the Browns, Eagles, Jets, Giants, Bengals, and then they end Week 17 with the Patriots. That Week 16 matchup's going to be interesting. I think that's one that I will be watching because that's probably going to decide who gets the first pick in the draft. And then, of course, for the Bengals, Of course, they got Jacksonville, then they got the Rams, bye week, then Baltimore, Raiders, Steelers, Jets, Browns, Patriots, Dolphins, and then the end of the season against Cleveland. For me personally, I would probably say I'm going to say the Dolphins probably have the best chance to get the first win, and it'd probably be the best chances next week against Pittsburgh on the week 8.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
I want to bring up some more stuff about hockey, but my pick is going to be the Dolphins.
And since let's talk about some hockey real quick before we head off for the day.
So let's talk about some more of the. Let's talk about Carolina. Carolina has probably been one of the more. They've been one of the dark horse candidates for Stanley Cup run because of the fact they made the third round last year and the fact they loaded up with talent this year. They only lost one game so far while winning 6.
Not bad.
And they probably have one of the better starts. The Avalanche have probably one of the better starts, 5-0. They look like probably a threat to the Western playoff run.
I agree there. By the way, the Penguins did place Alex G on injured reserve. Sabres rookie Victor Ozolov ties NHL power play goal record. Hurricanes Jordan Matnook set for second core muscle surgery. I actually want to pull up that thing about the Kings in a minute because that looks hilarious. Sabres rookie Victor also sets NHL power play goal record, so it looks like he tied it then broke it. Red Wings executive Jim Deeg undergoes brain surgery. The Blues visited the White House. But let's talk about the one that makes me laugh so we can just all end this video with a laugh. It takes place in Los Angeles and it's about the Kings. You may have heard the Los Angeles Kings ain't taking any chances with the Taylor Swift curse. After winning the Stanley Cup in 2012 and 2014, the Kings haven't gotten out of the first round of the playoffs since a banner commemorating Taylor Swift's sellout streak at Staples Center was raised in August 2015. Taylor Swift might sing "Don't Blame Me," but Kings fans do. The team isn't trying to shake it off by covering the banner with black cloth, leaving a blank space in the rafters. The LA Kings will cover Taylor Swift's banner at Staples Center for all home games. The connection to so apparently the Kings fans are blaming Taylor Swift for their bad seasons.
Oh, so now handing out very back contract like Drew Doughty for like $11 million for like 8 years. Oh yeah, it's Taylor Swift's fault.
But if you don't believe the curse or not, the Kings did win the home opener with the banner covered up on Saturday, beating Nashville. Now, granted, it didn't hurt that the Predators are the team Swift roots for her home in nearby Nashville. But the Kings did lose Sunday night's game against the Knights, so take that as you will. And you know, let's do some predictions for tonight's games, just for fun for hockey. So let's start. The first one, it is the Avalanche, who have not lost a game as they are 5-0 and have 10 points, take on the 4-2 Penguins. You know I'm taking the Penguins.
I think the Avalanche will go. What's the next game?
Maple Leafs at Capitals.
That's an interesting one. I'm going to say Capitals.
Oh, Canada, you ain't gonna win this game. I'm taking the Capitals. Stars at the Blue Jackets.
The Stars haven't looked that great.
No, Stars won 5-1, but the Blue Jackets are 2-3, so neither team's looked good.
I think Dallas Stars rebound.
Yeah, I'm going to take the Blue Jackets because, I'm sorry, there should not be a hockey team in the state of Texas. Philadelphia Flyers at the Oilers.
This is an NB Sports night. That's a Wednesday night game. Huh.
Yep.
I'm gonna take the Flyers.
I'm going to take the Oilers because fuck Philadelphia. Sabres at Ducks.
I think Sabres will get.
And I'm going to take the Mighty Ducks just because who doesn't love to hear a man quack?
Once owned by Disney.
May as well. Mickey Mouse might be then go, "Oh, children, if you don't start winning soon, Ducks, I'm going to buy you back and put you back into slavery." Oh. And make a terrible movie again. Oh, Hurricanes at the Sharks.
Hurricanes. The Sharks look really bad.
Stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. But those are my picks for this week. And Johnny's picks as well for this week for football. Good luck to your teams this week if they are playing. If not, enjoy the rest and the bye week. And don't forget to edit your fantasy teams. But until then, see you next week. And let's hope and pray I don't have to sing another song.